Siddhartha, from Hermann Hesse's masterpiece to the journey of enlightenment. You may have read and heard of the classic work, The Alchemist, but perhaps you didn't know that the author of this book, which has touched millions of hearts, was awakened by another masterpiece, Siddhartha, by the illustrious German writer Hermann Hesse. The first encounter with Siddhartha was in 1967, when I was 20 years old and had been sent to a mental hospital by my parents. I didn't know that outside the iron window bars of my room, this book was stirring the passion of an entire generation. These are the words he wrote about Siddhartha. He attained enlightenment after reading this book and was released from the mental hospital a few days later. Carl Jung, the founder of psychology, likened Siddhartha to a lighthouse in the midst of a stormy night. But for Hesse, writing this novel was not only about redeeming the world but also about self-healing. In 1919, Hesse created Siddhartha, but before that, he had a period of immense suffering. During the outbreak of World War I, due to his anti-war stance, he was ostracized by society and shunned by colleagues. Misfortune never comes singly. In the following years, his father passed away, and his beloved young son died of a severe illness. He couldn't bear these shocks and was hospitalized. Financial difficulties, a broken marriage, and successive blows led to his mental breakdown and depression. He even contemplated suicide. Fortunately, like the main character Siddhartha in this novel, he was timely saved. In countless long nights, the author gained profound insights into the soul and gradually discovered a truth about life. One must delve into the deepest depths of the soul to truly find one's meaning and then achieve liberation. With this philosophical insight, Siddhartha, a work containing all the confusion and search for answers, all the vision and enlightenment, was born. Content and meaning of Siddhartha. At first glance, you might think Siddhartha is a story about the Buddha, as the Buddha Shakyamuni, the founder of Buddhism, was named Siddhartha. But in reality, this is a profound philosophical book under the guise of Buddhism. We can all see pieces of our own lives in each step of this complete journey, the search, the experience, the awakening, and the maturity of the young man Siddhartha. Indeed, if anyone fully understands this book, they will also find answers to their own life. After all, how should one live? How can one live a complete and fulfilled life? And how to awaken? Through this book, you can find an answer, a meaningful one for yourself. I invite you to listen to today's sharing titled, 3 Things to See in Life through the timeless novel Siddhartha, by the outstanding author Hermann Hesse. Seeing yourself, recognizing limitations, and seeking transformation. It is said that some people are born standing at the finish line of life that many envy. But not everyone is like that. The main character of the novel, Siddhartha, is one such person. Born into a noble Brahmin family in ancient India, he seemed to have everything perfect: a noble family, a graceful appearance, high education, and much admiration. Everyone loved and respected Siddhartha. But he himself felt miserable. Misery because, as a Brahmin disciple, his ultimate goal of Atman was still not achieved. Atman is the fundamental concept in Indian philosophy, meaning the self, soul, and eternal breath. It refers to the true self, the eternal core. Therefore, his heart was always restless, anxious with a strong desire that his inner self must be a complete, absolute, and transcendent existence. Thus, Siddhartha decided to abandon everything he had and, along with his friend Govinda, follow the ascetic monks to become an ascetic. To attain enlightenment, he had to learn to renounce all worldly desires, overcome hunger, pain, and exhaustion. He ignored the scorching sun, the cold rain, and even thorns piercing his flesh. After 3 years of ascetic practice, Govinda felt very satisfied as he had learned a lot. But Siddhartha felt that he had not achieved any real progress except learning to endure. Ascetic practice was merely a way to escape reality, a temporary anesthetic from suffering. In his sorrow, he met the Buddha Gautama. Standing before the Buddha, who had completed his merit and attained the eternal self, a state pursued by thousands of Brahmin disciples, his good friend Govinda decided to follow him to practice. But Siddhartha chose to leave alone. He said that the secrets, enlightenment, and wisdom the Buddha had experienced could not be taught to anyone. Therefore, I will continue on my path and find my own liberation. Knowledge can be taught, but wisdom must be realized by oneself. Like the Pygmalion effect in psychology indicates, we are easily disturbed by external information, accustomed to seeing ourselves through the eyes of others, thus unable to see ourselves. We can easily read and absorb others' thoughts, but those thoughts only become information. We never see ourselves because we always try to directly apply others' ideas to decorate our minds. As this book says, most people are like falling leaves, tumbling in the air, eventually stumbling back to the dust. Few are like stars in the sky, moving in a fixed orbit, unaffected by any wind, because they live seeing themselves, living seeing themselves. But if you cannot understand the rules and traces within yourself, how can you achieve true transformation? You must see yourself, break free from the ego, and in each breaking of the life's game barriers, find awakening. I know that dissatisfaction with oneself, constantly questioning, and trying every way to find answers is a very difficult process. It can even cause immense discomfort for oneself. But only by daring to open the gaps of reality can one follow the light and step into a broader world. As Socrates once said, to live the fullest life, it is essential to have an attitude of recognizing the limitations in your current life and then finding ways to overcome them. See yourself first, to realize the limitations of your thoughts, discover the limitations in understanding, as the first step to transform yourself. Seeing the world, meeting people to cultivate the mind, facing challenges to cultivate character. After bidding farewell to Govinda and the Buddha, Siddhartha embarked on his journey to seek wisdom in the world. He eagerly experienced worldly life, learning how to make love from the courtesan Kamala and learning how to make money from the wealthy merchant Kamaswami. At this point, he remained vigilant, treating everything as a game. However, human forgetfulness always comes quietly and naturally. When the senses were deceived by the frenzy of reality, Siddhartha's soul lost its way. He could no longer control himself and indulged in worldly pleasures and laziness. Engulfed in greed, possession, and never knowing satisfaction, he constantly sought excitement, trying to find more intoxication and dreams in a dull life. Addicted to gambling, no longer enjoying charity and sympathy for beggars as before. Someone once said that like toothpaste, once human desire is squeezed out, it is very difficult to put it back in. You see, excessive desire has led many people on earth to lose themselves, falling into endless greed with no way out. Initially, Siddhartha chose to flee from desire, but in the end, he became the very person he despised in his youth. Thus, one day, without saying a word, he went to the riverbank, intending to end his life by drowning. But as he stepped into the water, a voice from deep within him awakened him. I must experience greed, pursue wealth, fall into the abyss of despair, and learn to resist them. Learn to accept the nature of the world and rejoice in belonging to it. Like Chekhov wrote, I believe that nothing passes without leaving a trace. For the present and future life, every small step we take is meaningful. In this world, no effort is wasted. All experiences of the past are essential cultivation in our lives. Every naivety is cultivation, every awakening is cultivation, every joy and sorrow is cultivation, every beginning and end is cultivation. Life is often like that. If you haven't experienced it, you certainly won't understand it. Many people still complain that they hear too many such truths, but life remains as miserable as ever. But you need to understand that the truth is not just to be heard. Without experiencing pain, there will be no deep understanding. Wealth can be earned, knowledge can be learned, but experience cannot be conveyed. You must explore it yourself to gain it. A writer once said, "Life is a practice field. No matter how many methods you have, you need to practice them in reality." Without falling flowers and flowing water, there would be no heaven and earth. Without challenges in the human world, how can one achieve growth and transformation? Therefore, you must step out, go and experience, to see the world, meet people to cultivate the mind, and face challenges to cultivate character. As Thoreau said in Walden, "Life in the woods, for life is not about how much you have, but how you experience it. A person is truly the sum of all past experiences. I am all the people I have encountered, the things I have experienced, the joy I have felt, the pain I have tasted, and I am myself now." Without experience, there will never be understanding. Life is a journey of experience, and the world we live in is the best school for you to practice. Seeing all beings, accepting, and letting things happen naturally. After his awakening, Siddhartha wandered along the riverbank and met the ferryman. He decided to stay and learn how to ferry from this wise man. The ferryman, like a profound sage, spoke to Siddhartha about the river, which knows everything and from which one can learn everything. Siddhartha often sat by the river, letting go of his thoughts and listening to the sound of the flowing water. Until one day, a weary woman wanted to cross the river, stirring the previously calm waters. That woman was none other than Kamala, Siddhartha's former lover. After Siddhartha left, she had borne his child, given up her profession, and dedicated herself to following the Buddha. This time, she was on a pilgrimage with their son, unexpectedly encountering Siddhartha. Unfortunately, Kamala was bitten by a poisonous snake and died shortly after. In her last moments, she entrusted their son to Siddhartha. He watched the life fade from her face, recalling her beauty and her youth, and felt the impermanence of the world. The presence of his son awakened a profound love in Siddhartha. He tried his best to care for the boy, hoping to win his heart. However, facing this unfamiliar father and impoverished circumstances, Siddhartha's son rebelled fiercely. The boy was indifferent, lazy, and even said he'd rather be a murderer in hell than stay with this man who claimed to be his father. He wanted to leave. The ferryman advised Siddhartha that everyone must walk their path alone, even children have their way. But Siddhartha wouldn't listen. He worried for his son and insisted on keeping him to protect him. The result was that the boy sneaked away one morning. Heartbroken, Siddhartha chased after his son, but, as he ran, he remembered forcing his own father to let him leave to pursue asceticism. And the situation now mirrored that of the past. Life is like a cycle, all the sufferings that cannot be redeemed will recur. In deep despair, Siddhartha returned to the river, listening to its wisdom flowing day and night. Previously, he always insisted on distinguishing different sounds from the water. The laughter of the wise, the cries of the angry, the sobs of the yearning, the groans of the dying. Thousands of voices disturbing the human mind. But now, no longer obsessed with any specific sound and listening to everything, he realized that all human joys and sorrows, laughter, and cries, merged into one. Siddhartha decided not to resist fate. He realized that without letting go of the ego, one could never find freedom in life. He understood his son's rebellion, escape, and choices. Then, like a river containing thousands of voices, he accepted, embraced, and harmonized with all the imperfections before him. True awakening lies in the midst of the world's chaos. Let everything follow its natural course, as it was meant to be. Everyone in this world is like a flower, eventually blown away in different directions by the wind. Everyone has their path. Those who go should not be held back, and those who come should not be overly attached. Live with awakening and serenity, let unwillingness turn into readiness, let unhappiness become happiness, let nothing become everything, and let you release all obsessions in your heart. Since its publication in 1923, Siddhartha has been translated into 39 languages and has become a spiritual destination for countless people. Because we can see ourselves in Siddhartha's life journey, from recognizing our limitations and bravely embarking on a path of exploration in youth, to pursuing fame, fortune, and material wealth, seeing all the gains and losses in midlife. Finally, fully enlightened, realizing that as long as one's heart is at peace, every moment in life can be fulfilling. Life should be an unending journey of self-discovery. When you let your eyes see everything, let your sails catch all the winds, you will see all the dust. Finally, you will understand what this vast world truly means to you and open up enlightenment for yourself. You need to know that we are the origin and the destination of ourselves. When you personally experience life and love life, what we have will be a meaningful life. The author wrote that, the opposite of every truth is just as true. Love or hate, good or bad, gain or loss, life or death, presence or absence, past, present, or future, they are all a whole and unified existence within each of us. Let go of the obsessions and prejudices packaged in what is called pursuit and possession. Personally go out to experience, explore, and love this complex but very inclusive world. Symbolic meaning of the river in the work. Many readers might wonder, after reading this book, what great wisdom does the river have that could make Siddhartha enlightened to become a Buddha? Because the river always flows continuously, but it is always here, it is always here. At any moment, it is the same, but also entirely new at every instant. The water is both unchanging and constantly renewing. Clearly, this characteristic of the river encompasses the essence of two selves in a person. That is the individual self and the eternal self. It is unchanging because the eternal self is always the same, but it is constantly renewing because the individual self is always changing. As Schiller said, man only exists when he changes, and he only exists unchangingly when he changes. So what is change, and what is unchanging? The moment. Change is eternal, and time is the intersection of all change and permanence. Once the subject no longer perceives the existence of time, then on the level of thought, it not only makes the two opposing selves become one but also makes the differences between the worlds no longer exist. It means here, every moment, the world now is a harmonious and unified whole in his eyes. And finally, to end today's video, I will use a sentence from the book to send to all of you. I no longer compare this world with the perfect world that I want. I accept this world, love it, and belong to it. Thank you for listening. If you find this video helpful, please share it with those who need it. Don't forget to personally ponder or read this timeless novel once more. I am sure that at different stages of your life, each reading will bring a different profoundness. I wish that we all can awaken and live fully. Don't forget to support us with a like, follow, and turn on the notification bell to watch my latest videos every week. Thank you and see you in the next videos.